Hello everyone and welcome back to Every2Quesadot. Today I'm going to share how I created this tag, creating with the elements that I had left over from a project. So I'm going to be using all of these that you're looking at here. But first, I want to keep the pretty part of the tag on the back because I'm going to be covering all of the front of it. And I'm going to cover it with different layers of my mixed media. So I'm going to use this metallic luster. And you're going to see me applying it first to create a sky because I am thinking that I want to create a tree with these elements. So we'll see how that comes out, right? So I'm using the back because I'm going to be covering the whole surface of it. So I might as well keep the nice part of the tag visible on the back, and then I'll use the whole front of it. I mean the whole back of it, which is blank, to create on. And that way I don't have to do anything on the background when I'm done. So here I am applying all of the paint to create my sky. So I've added a little bit of water and I'm only using the one at the cap to apply it, and I'm playing around with it until I figure out that I want to do some swirly moves with my paint. So you'll see this in fast forward as I complete the whole top section of my tag by going back into my glass and getting some water and then applying more of that metallic luster from DecoArt, and the color is Cosmic Blue, as you saw before. And I've kept on going until I was satisfied with my coverage. And if you can see, there's like a little spot there that was like rejecting the paint. So I'm going to keep on going, and when I see that it's not getting covered, I go and get another color of metallic luster, and it's the Gold Rush. So I'm going to be taking that and I'm going to be applying it in a little circular motion here to create a little golden sun. Now I'm going to be using golden, and that's the soft gel, but I don't know if you can tell. Well, you probably can't tell from the video, but mine is old and it's pretty dried up. So I was having a hard time getting it out of the tub and mixing it. But this is the color that I'm going to be mixing it with. It's a Folk Art metallic peridot. So I'm pouring that on top of my molding paste. And can you see how hard I had to press in? Yeah, it wasn't easy. But this is expensive, so I don't want to waste it. So I'm mixing it in with my color and I am applying it. It's just chunkier, way heavier than Extra Body. It was hard to handle it, but I managed. So I'm going to cover the bottom part of my whole tag with that, creating a grass type of texture on it. And as you see, all of this has been placed in fast motion because it took a long time for all the steps to go through, especially me mixing in that color into that molding paste. So I fast forwarded the whole thing because you can tell what I'm doing. Now here you see me applying it to the branches on my tree. I've applied the leftover wires from the flowers that I used on my canvas, created a little tree trunk with it, and now I'm cutting the leftover leaves on the flowers, and I'm cutting them into little leaves to create my little tree. And I'm using the leftover molding paste to adhere that wire to the tag, and also use it as the glue to grab my leaves onto the tree branch. Yeah, so I would not give up on that molding paste. I wanted to use it. So I kept on finding ways to use up the material that I had taken out of the bowl. And I'm going to keep on trying to finish that up somehow because it just hurts to waste that product. But I haven't been able to craft in a while, so it dried up on me. So anyways, I keep on moving around the different branches and covering it with the little leaves. And then I'm tucking in some of them in the back of the little clusters that I had already created to make them more interesting and dimensional and to cover up the little gaps that were left over. And once I am done doing that, as far as I'm happy, see, I keep on going and going. And then I stopped and I decided that I wanted to go on to my next step. So I let that dry for a little bit. And then I'm going to be using these. They're delicas and seed beads. And I'm going to be using that to create another dimension on my tree. Now, I thought I had recorded this part, but apparently I had not pressed my recording on the camera. So for the second part, when I noticed it wasn't recording, I'm doing the rest of it on camera. And this is very fast forward because it took me forever. I'm very patient with this type of project. It's kind of relaxing for me. So I know it's something that takes a little bit of time if you want to do it carefully and arrange all of the beads into a specific area that you want them to and for them to fall in the specific way you want them to. Or you can just dump them like that in little clusters. So I've used both. I've dumped bunches of it on some areas and then I've gone into other areas by planning out what bead I want there and how I want it placed. So you're going to see me covering the wire with seed beads and delicas just to create more interest in that and not have my tree be so bare. So I keep on going over every area and adding more beads as I see the need for it. So this is going to be a little bit, and I've even had to cut some bits of it off because I didn't want you guys looking at the same thing over and over. So some of the parts I've kept, but you'll see that I'll be jumping some areas and just taking some parts of my process out of the video so you guys don't have to sit here and watch as I was placing all of them. I was relaxing. I had a great time doing it, but I know that for a person watching it, it's just too tedious and long to watch. So I've skipped some of the parts so that you don't have to go through that. So now I see a little gap on the wires on the trunk of the tree. And I've decided to use the silver delicas to go over that. And then I go back and add more silver and yellow beads to the areas that I saw were missing some color in. So that's another part. I skipped a whole section of it because I just kept on doing the same thing over. So it's the same process. I just kept going through all of the areas and seeing what was missing and adding things to different areas and going through the same process of putting. Oh, and if you want to know what's in my fine line container, it's glossy accents, but mine kept clogging, and every time I opened it, I had to press a needle into it to open up the bottle. So I've placed it inside of this fine line applicator, and that has worked out fantastically. And I also have a very thin tip that I can work with, so I'm really glad that I decided to do that. And yeah, so I have my glossy accents inside of that. So that what you see me applying as glue for that section is glossy accents. And now what you're seeing me do here is add little drops. And then I added the little seed beads and the delicas in separate little areas one by one. So you see them like towards the tip of the branches. I have them like going out separately. And that's what it's looking like so far. I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. Let me so oops, sorry for the out of focus. This camera does not handle shiny stuff too well, so it tends to get out of focus when shiny things are coming up close. See, but those are the details, as you can see, and that's my molding paste. And now I'm gonna go on to the next step. So for this, I'm gonna be adding some gelatos. So that's my pretty bag. I love that bag. I want more like these. I think that's from, I'm pretty sure it's from Daiso. I love it. I love the pattern on it and I love the color. So anyways, I have my little gelatos, my old ones. I have them in there. So I'm using metallic blue to add some darkness to the bottom of that sky. So I'm applying a little bit of water to the brush and then taking that gelato right from the stick and applying it to the tag. And I'm getting the area darker by applying that. Now, once I was done with the blue, I wanted more darkness in there. So I went in and I got my purple and I'm adding purple to it. So those two are in gelatos. And then I decided that I wanted some of that purple in other areas. So I'm moving up with the same purple gelato and applying it to the top. So this is how it looks. And that's the tree with those. Now I want to add some other details to it. So I went in and I got my liquid pearls, and that's the avocado. Let me see if I can, there you go. So that's the color that I chose. And I've also used the folk art peridot again. And with a very thin brush that I'm going to show you in a little bit, that's the one that I used. I've been applying little strokes to add as another texture on my leaf. So I take a little bit of this and a little bit of the liquid pearls, and I add it to the leaves in little teeny tiny fast strokes. So it's not too planned, just letting it happen. So what you see me doing is I put a little bit of that liquid pearls on the mat, and I'm picking it from the mat and adding it to, applying it to the leaves. And I've kept them going with this for a little while until I was satisfied with the different layers and colors that I had there. And I've also applied that to the grass. So that's what I'm showing you now. I've applied some of that to the texture on the glass so I would get more color on it. And I've also added more of the Delica beads going down onto the surface of the grass. And that's what I've created. So I use these two things to create my tree with, and some molding paste and some layers of mixed media to create what I had envisioned in my mind. So I'm happy with it. So all I did was add something to the edge of it with some ink. So besitos everyone. Thank you so much for coming over and watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you all on the next video. Bye.